I am recorded. All of a sudden now we're recording. So anybody watching, I just, so everybody's aware, I don't know you, right? I don't really, except for what I've read. Amazing blog. I must say that the 70-something questions are like answers of who you are. That's like, yeah, man. That's very, very smart to do, because then anybody can hop on and be like, who is this guy? So when you're done reading them, you're like, oh, I understand who this guy is for the most part.
Right on.
But please tell people who have no idea, just like really who you are. Who are you? I guess who is Shola Richards? It is Shola pronounced correct, right?
Yeah, perfect, man. It's Shola, rhymed with cola. That's the easiest way to remember it. Like it. Yeah. So I am by trade. I work as a corporate trainer. I do training on customer service, leadership training, transformational communication training, things of that nature. My deep passion is to, at the risk of sounding like a Miss America pageant contestant, I got my little wave down. I'm focused on creating a better place for people to live and to work, specifically around positivity. So about in 2013, I decided, like, man, I'm sick of waiting for someone else to take over this positivity thing. I've been waiting for blogs to come out. I'm looking for someone to really make the message clear. So I started it. I decided to start a blog. I was in Santa Barbara with my wife for wine tasting. I was trying to find blog names, and I had some of the worst names ever, like Happiness Forever. And it's awful stuff. And all of a sudden I came up with a positive solution, and it really, really stuck with me. And specifically, it's around the hard stuff around positivity. A lot of people hear the word positivity. It's like, oh, rainbows and unicorns and Skittles rain from the sky and all that type of silliness. Yeah. And I'm focused on the hard stuff, dealing with bullies at work. And some people maybe listening to this might understand what it's like to deal with bullies at work. Resilience, the ability of cutting out toxic influences in your life. I'm talking about people, the ones who may be in your inner circle, because not everyone in the front row is a fan. I'm trying to get these people who are close to you and really being more mindful of who's in your inner circle. Thinking about things around forgiveness and the challenges that takes to be able to forgive someone who really did you horribly. The things that a lot of people don't talk around positivity, I want to talk about, and that's been my focus. And as of, last year, I signed a book deal with Sterling Publishing to write a book specifically on how to make the workplace more positive. It's called Making Work Work, the solution to bringing positive change to any work environment. It's going to be hitting the bookshelves on the day after Labor Day, 2016.
All right. Okay, why not? I didn't know that. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, I've always wanted to be an author, so this is like a dream come true.
I like it. So how did you get into all this? Like, how did you I'm assuming you didn't just fall into it. Like, what led you here in life?
Believe it or not, I can't say I didn't. You're right. I didn't fall into it, but I've always been one of those highly empathetic people. I mean, highly. You know those like Sarah McLachlan like cat commercials and stuff like that. Like I run out of the room. I'm not even kidding. Like I cannot deal with people in pain. And for a while, admittedly, I thought this was like a curse, man. I was like, God, I would walk by a homeless man or a woman who was struggling and have that literally ruin my day. And just sit there like, man, this poor guy has nothing to eat. He's out in the cold and it's raining, and I give him whatever money I have. But some people would just walk to work. Like, what's a big deal? Yeah. But for me, that really struck me. And I at first I thought it was more of a curse than a gift. It's definitely a gift. But at the time it was a curse. I felt like it was. Like, man.
Why'd you feel that way?
I look at all these people who are hurting, and I thought I couldn't do anything to help. And then finally, well, wait a second. Well, maybe I can. I know how to write. I can speak. I can do all these type of things. So maybe I can do something. So that's how it started. I just started a blog, and I wrote a blog post that no one read besides me and my wife and a couple of friends. And I was like, you know what? Maybe someone's going to find it. And then one person shared it with another and shared it with another. And then the positivity solution kind of grew. And it's been read in 162 countries so far in less than 3 years. And I actually didn't even know there were that many countries in the world. So it shows what I know. But people care about this stuff. They want to have a more positive life. And if I can do something to help make that real, I'm all for it.
I love it. And so how do you do it outside the corporate structure? Because the people that listen to this, maybe get like an idea of my audience is more like entrepreneurs, like, people who are either they're in a business or they're aspiring to do one or start one at some point in time, which will create a workplace for some people, obviously, at some point. So like, what are the steps that you go through? Because part of it is like, and this is actually a question I was thinking. So keep that question on hold. The question, I'm like, when you have people that don't have that kind of empathy, Like, how do you view them, and how do you get them to move closer to a place of being empathetic?
You know, my saying is always to, I come from a place of curiosity, not of judgment. So if I see someone who really struggles with empathy, it's not about, oh man, what an idiot, what's wrong with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
I always wonder, like, whoa, wait a second, I wonder what happened to him. We all have stories. I mean, you're crushing it right now with your podcast and all the work that you're doing, and you have drama, I have drama, we all have drama. Drama's gonna find you, no matter where you are. So I don't judge people on that. But when I see people who are struggling with empathy, it's kind of, I have 2 little girls, and I'm trying to help build up their empathy by reading stories to them. It seems kind of silly, but I read stories with them where those characters get hurt or whatever, or get sad, and ask them, how do you think that Susie felt right there when she dropped her ice cream cone, and getting her to think from an empathetic nature. Now, fast forward to adults and people of that nature, when you're dealing with challenges around empathy, it's similar to what you do with kids. I just remind them of, how do you think someone else would feel in the situation? Or if you were in that situation, if someone took your project from you and just didn't give you credit for it when they were presenting in front of the whole company. I mean, that probably hurt him when you did that without, and bringing awareness around it. I think that's the problem that a lot of people lack, is self-awareness. And if I can help make people be a little bit more self-aware than they were before they met me, I succeeded. But that's where the empathy comes from, self-awareness.
I like it. So is there like a process you put people through to get to that level of getting closer to that? Because I know a lot of people off the top of my head that don't have that. It's like, hey, quit being like that, man. But like, that's not sometimes the way to do it.
Yeah, it's a constant reminder. So it's like, if someone were asked me for coaching and I was able to work with them, I would go through the practice of making sure that if I could follow them for a little bit, or if I get to work with someone, I'm able to be quick in the moment with the feedback and letting them know, that's a moment where we could have done something a little bit differently. That's a moment where you didn't show empathy. I'll give you an example. There's a situation with a gentleman who for whatever reason, he tends to yell a lot into his employees, and he feels like that's the way that he shows that he cares. He actually thinks that's, how will they know that I care about them if I don't yell at them? Is what he said.
Really?
This came from some place where maybe as a kid or something where he felt like that was, a necessary thing. So I brought awareness around, while you may be feeling this, I want you to think about, when you yell at someone else, it doesn't necessarily mean it's from your lens that you're showing appreciation, because to them, if you're not sharing appreciation, they don't know why you're yelling at them. They just see the end result. So for him, it was a strange, I never thought of it that way. And if someone like you who's self-actualized, it's not going to be of course, you should know that. But the fact is, a lot of people don't know that. So by just bringing the awareness around it, so people can stop for a minute, like, you know what? That's actually something that I do without realizing how much it could hurt someone. That has a big difference. It's shaking them out of that pattern that they're in. Yeah.
And I think as I hear that, like, a lot of things I think about when I tell people are, I guess it's tied to the concept of like how you treat the world, how you feel the world. Same way. Yeah. It's kind of the things that, like, if someone's in a place like, workplace sucks, the environment sucks. Well, it's kind of like, because you may not be bringing that into the workplace or into the environment. And so sometimes people don't realize, like, that the way that you act towards people is what's getting you to the place of not living a life that's more positive at work and at home, because you're not bringing it there. So if you come into the workplace, you're like, la, 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 well, everybody's going to do that right back to you.
It's so true. I mean, the energy that you have is going to come out. I always look at people. I tell my single friends who are like, I give this advice, and this is going to come back to business real quickly. I tell my single friends, like, listen, what you should do is you should write a list of your ideal mate, all the characteristics that you want in your ideal mate, what they should look like, what their interest should be, their personality. Put all these things down and put it on a sheet and put it in your bathroom mirror, so you can see it every morning. But here's the thing. This is the most important step. Once you put that on the mirror, forget about your ideal significant other, and you be all those things on that list. Because why in the world would you be able to attract that person to your life if you're not willing to be that person yourself? You have to look within here first and live those beliefs before you can get that person to come here. Yeah. People come to me like, oh man, I want the workplace to be better. I'm sick of this job. And they're coming with horrible attitudes, and they don't realize that they're contributing to the problem that they're trying to fix. Yeah. So it starts with, again, back to the self-awareness thing. If we're not aware, then the problems will continually come, and the lessons always return until we finally figure it out.
Gotcha. So for people who think you're not talking to them right now, who may not be self-aware, how do you make them? That sounds like that's the pivotal point, right? It's all self-awareness. But there's a lot of people like, oh, that's not me. That's not me at all. Like how you get them to click on like, oh, maybe it might be me.
You know, it's funny when a lot of people do struggle with that. They think it's everyone else. And a quick test to kind of to make this clear. If the first thing that you're thinking, and this goes for anyone who's listening, is thinking like, man, I know so-and-so really needs this message right now, then that's a good sign that you're the one who needs it. Because if you're thinking so much about the other person and the message that they need to hear, I deal with a lot of people who struggle with this. And I've asked people to find a trusted friend who could give it to them real. But if you're going to ask, you have to be prepared for the answer. And I think a lot of people struggle with this. I'll go ahead and ask my friend. That's cool. And then they get an answer that they don't want to hear. And they get really upset. Like, oh man, I thought we were cool. What's up with that, man? Well, wait a second. You're asking for feedback and you got the feedback. Why are you backpedaling now? So I don't think that if you lack the self-awareness, you're not going to be able to figure it out on your own. You need someone from the outside to help you with that. You're not going to wake up one day, wow, I get it now. I totally got the self-awareness. Yeah. You need to find someone else who's willing to keep it real with you. And for anyone who's listening who does not have someone in your life who can keep it real with you, you need to find yourself some new friends.
Yeah. What's funny is I tell people that I do a course called Renew, which is the whole title of this whole podcast that you're on. One of the things in there, it's basically going the level of ask two people that like you, and ask one person that doesn't like you, how they feel about you. And it's a really weird dynamic because what happens, people that do like you, like they'll give you some of the stuff, but they still butter it up. You need that person that you don't like, or that doesn't like you, to actually give it to you, because they'll give it to you in a way where you have to actually, your ego first has to subside to ask them. So that subsides, you're going to ask the question. Then what they tell you, I'm like, the one thing you have to do is bite your tongue. Let them do what they do, and then take everything with a grain of salt and measure the two. Are there any congruencies? Are there anything that makes sense? Because there's people who like you and who don't like you who say the exact same thing. You're too arrogant. You're not pathetic, or you're lazy, or whatever it might be. And you got to swallow that. But I think the backside of everything is you want to be happy, right? You want to live that positive life. I think something that great doesn't happen without work, but that's the work, in my view.
That is the work. That is the work. That is well said. I think it's part of the problem. I mean, a lot of people don't necessarily want the feedback. It's easier to live in ignorance, and it's hard to change. So if I can just go around just thinking that I'm the bomb, and no matter what, everyone else is the problem, that's a lot easier than to have to take the work and do the work to try to fix yourself. A lot of people don't want to take that journey. And if you do take the journey, it's so rewarding, but a lot of people don't want to take those steps. Yeah,
that's the thing. And I think that's part of it is that journey. So I think the next thing for me too is getting people to a place of trust in the journey. Like, because some people are like, well, I'm going to put work into someone and get to that backside and have that result. So I don't know if there's always like a step-by-step process or something that you've seen commonly. Like, what's the common steps that people go through, from lacking self-awareness to being self-aware? Like, what does that process look like for you and your clients?
When I see people who the self-aware, it's interesting. I think a lot of the time, when it comes to self-awareness, there's a process that I think starts with your attitude. And I think that's really the most important step, is ensuring that you have the right attitude for this type of work, the type of attitude that's going to make you want to improve. I'll give you an example. Someone struggles with self-awareness. Let's just picture some random person. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I would want to work on with this person is their attitude. And I'd like to take them through a couple of steps so they kind of figure out exactly how to do it. Starting off with the step that a lot of people don't really think of when it comes to their attitude and how to make their attitude a little bit better to help free up their self-awareness is to really be aware of the toxic influences in their life. I know we talked before we started recording a little bit about the toxic influences, but some people don't pay a lot of attention to the people who are in their inner circle who may continually make it harder for them to be self-aware because they complain a lot. Or a lot of people have friendships that are based solely around complaining. Mm-hmm. And if you're listening and you're one of those people, it's like, I don't smoke. So it's like if someone's in my car and the windows are rolled up and they're smoking inside my car, just getting cigarette smoke all inside of the interior. I mean, that's what secondhand smoke is like for your mind when you're talking about this complaining stuff. So self-awareness is going to come a lot harder when you're around people who aren't self-aware of themselves. So starting with making sure that you clean out the area that's in your life that are causing you to be a little bit less self-aware by the people who you hang out with. Also, too, the news, man. not a big news guy. I'm not a big, the political game's going hardcore right now. And the tenor of this country is kind of scary. It's scary right now if you're watching the news a lot. I don't watch it a lot. The reason why I don't is I want to fill my mind up with more positive influences. So I meditate, I listen to podcasts, I spend a whole lot of time reading books. I'm a crazy voracious reader when it comes to reading. So these things help with self-awareness as well, the activities that you do. So instead of me going ahead and put on like Real Housewives like Beverly Hills or something like that, I can go to a podcast, or I can go take a walk, I can go to the gym. I can just sit alone and be silent. I can do the right things, and these things help with self-awareness. So that's one first.
I like that.
Secondly, I think kind of a next step along the self-awareness thing, once you clear all the space out and all that, is really focusing on the present moment. So when you're looking at trying to be self-aware for the rest of your life, that's pretty tough. I just worry about being self-aware just today.
Just today. Baby steps.
Not tomorrow, just worry about just today.
I like that concept. I think part of it, I think it's, I love the part about the friends. I'm real big on the people you keep out of your circle. I don't do cable. You haven't had cable for like 6 years. I do some of the same exact. I read. I hang out with good people. I think what it is people want that to come home, right? You want to come home and just unwind and relax. You think that watching a TV show, the news does that. It doesn't. Your brain's still operating, but like the backside of that, the result of that is that dark feeling sometimes, or like the world's falling apart. But for me, I'm not tarnished by that. Not because I'm better. It's just that what I put in my brain, the backside of that, the result of that's like I'm happy. I get to chill and find people like yourself across the internet randomly and have good conversations.
Yeah, right on.
It's just a whole different monster. So I guess for me, like, what is because we're talking about living a more positive life. So anybody that's joining now, the concept is living a more positive life and working at home. Midori Verdi hopped on. I'm actually going to be out with Midori here in about, I think, like 40 minutes or 30 minutes or something. She's awesome.
All right.
When it comes to living a more positive life at work and home, I guess we talked about like work, but for people who aren't, people who have jobs or where they go out there every day, or people who own businesses, like at home, how do you transfer this stuff to the home life?
Everything comes down to me it's about connection. I don't think we spend a lot of time focusing on how deeply we connect with people. Work, outside of work, all that stuff is cool, but how we communicate to create deep connections with people is really what changes folks. And it's not the hard stuff. It's actually it's so simple. This morning, I was almost late for your podcast. I had to drop my daughter off at first grade, and she saw that I was hurrying around trying to get ready. And I said, Daddy has an interview. I got a podcast interview. I got to get back. She doesn't know what a podcast is. She's like, Daddy, what are you talking about in the podcast? And I thought for a second. I was like, you know what, baby? I'm talking about the exact same thing you're learning in first grade.
That makes sense.
How to be sweet to each other, how to be kind, how to be respectful. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me with her eyes all big like, Daddy, people your age to learn that too? Yeah. So when I'm thinking about this, it's about connection, solely about taking the time to do the little things, the stuff that's maybe little, but like saying thank you to someone. Yeah. I found it shocking how few people can literally say thank you. I going to work and people can't even say hello to somebody. Yeah. Just gonna walk by someone. Hey, how you doing, Shola? Like mean mode.
It was awkward. Like people were like, what? Who does that? Everybody should do that.
Yeah, right. I mean, so those are the things that really I struggle with when people say, well, how do I make a more positive life? It starts with how you connect with people. Yeah. What's so sad to me is that most people are not going to realize the power of connection until they're lying in their deathbed hours away from passing from this earth. And when you can't wheel in your Mercedes-Benz or your law degree and all these other things into your hospital room, what you want to be surrounded by are the people who matter and the people who care. Why wait until we're about to die? People are like, I want to leave a legacy. I want to leave a legacy. I want to leave a legacy after I die. How about we leave a legacy after we leave the room?
Yeah, right.
And we can do this every single moment if we focus on deeply connecting with the people who we get the chance to live and love in our lives.
I like that, man. It's very, very powerful. It's
nice.
I have this conversation a lot with people. I had some conversations at Facebook yesterday visiting a friend, and we were kind of walking around, and he's talking about how he's in a place where he goes to work, and Facebook's an amazing work environment. The people there are like
that is
people. The place is just fun. But he's just talking to this guy because he's a recruiter, and he's like talking to this guy who's like 40. He's like, man, how did you get to a place you got it so together at 27? He's like, you got everything moving well, like your life's going. He's like, how are you so happy? He's like, honestly, I love what it is I do, and what bringing it back to conversation was a lot of people are looking for that end destination, right? At least the law degree, the car, like I want to wait till I leave this legacy at the end. But the destination is the destination. The journey is the destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's the everyday moments that you've earned the ability to live. Like, this is my life that I live now. I get to hop on and talk to cool people. This wasn't free. This took a lot of work, So for me, it's like the journey is now my destination. Every day I wake up and I get to leave a legacy. I get to help people. I get to walk around and do something I love, hang out with my kids. Like but it took a lot of work to get there. But that, I believe, is where the happiness is more long lasting. You spend more time walking the path than the top of the mountain.
Anthony, it's funny that you say that, because I'm sure because of the success that you've had, there might be people who you play college ball with, or maybe friends or things like that. Like, oh man, look at this guy. I mean, it's like an overnight success story. Look at this cat. Like, and if it was an overnight success story, it's probably the longest night of your life. You put in a lot of work to get here. I mean, he's a natural, and he's able to speak in front of these audiences. I mean, those are the things that a lot of people don't get to see. It's a lot of work. But the most important thing that I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with me on is that the work just requires you to show up. And I think a lot of times we have the fear and the insecurity, like, man, before you got started, there's big podcasts that are huge audiences. And before I started speaking or writing, there's blogs that are doing big things, huge authors that are bestsellers. And I was sitting in my bedroom apartment 3-4 years ago, like, man, I really want to start a blog, but I'm scared and I don't know if I can do it. And then one day I just said, screw it. I'm just going to write it. Now, no one has to read it, but I can't go to my grave saying I didn't try. And just by showing up, what's crazy is that confidence starts coming. If there's anyone listening, who is waiting to do what's necessary and waiting until they're ready to act, I am begging you, as I stare into the screen, start before you're ready. Do not wait for the doves to fly across your house and the sign of a cross before you start. It's not going to happen. You will never be ready. You have to make yourself ready by doing the work. Yeah, I think the calling is the immediate moment of the calling. Yeah, right. The second that seeds like in your head of like, I start a blog, that is the calling. It's not going to be, that is it. And so many people know. That's the fun part of it, is just going out there and trying and see what happens. And not looking, I think the saddest part in life is regret, is looking back and saying, man, well, you're never going to be as young as you are right now as you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast. Just jump. And oh my gosh, I'm seeing Joe Bernstein, who said on the side in the comments that said about starting a blog, and the parachute is just a myth. That is so true. And sometimes you just find those wings, man, on the way down, and you just fly. It's a beautiful thing when you just fly. But you can't fly if you don't jump. It's true. You'll never know if you can fly. You just sit there all day long, and these wings don't do anything. Right. We all got wings. Like, the thing is I think we compare our wings, right? Some people see these massive wings of amazing people doing big, but they had to build the strength of those wings to fly. Yep. Everybody was in the same spot we were. Nobody was born like, hey, I'm a phenomenal speaker. Right. Just got to do things. One of my buddies said, every master was once a disaster. And if we could just take a moment to look at all the people in the very, very, very beginning of their journey and watch what they were like, we'd be like, oh my God, that guy was me. Yeah. She was just like me. But we just look at where they are now, and we forget that they started just where you are. Every one of them started there. Yeah. And that's the thing. We just see, oh my gosh, they have their slick little podcast, and they have their slick TV show, and they have their slick book, and they have their slick, all that stuff. But it started from where we are. Everybody. Just everyone. 2 years ago, I was at the gym. I was doing nothing. I started this podcast maybe a month and a half ago, and it just rolled. Really? Yeah. I was like, I want to do a podcast. So I just made a process up, and I created this, and now I have people that come. Month and a half? Really? A month and a half ago, I started this podcast, I think. Yeah. Man, this is first class, brother. You're killing it, man. I would never have known. Yeah, most people don't. I just start talking to people. This is it's all a matter of, like you said. I sat at home. I was like, you know what? I want to do a podcast. All right, I'm going to do a podcast. And I think 3 days later, I had a podcast up and running. That's strong. I mean, and you're doing. And what's cool about that is all the resources that you needed were available. You can find out how to start a podcast by doing a quick Google search. Easily. Find the stuff you need and having the drive to go ahead and get started. Yeah, on your computer. We all can do that.
We got a question over here, which is cool. Someone says, how can I regroup and start again after being positive, or start again being positive after an awful work experience?
Oh my gosh. So let me see.
Little Mama Lena.
Little Mama. Oh, I lost it. There she is. No, I think what's so cool about that, and first of all, thank you for sharing that. The problem is more Americans than not are having an awful work experience. But 2/3 of all employees at work right now are either actively disengaged or not engaged into the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
I find that what's helped me, because I've had some pretty horrible work experiences myself, is a commitment. And I hope, little mama, you hear this, we give our power away to people, specifically the ones who deserve it the least. I've had some pretty horrible situations. And in those situations where I was looking at these people who were cursing at me, bullying me, demeaning me, I made a commitment that I'm not going to give these people my power anymore. Let them choose if I'm going to be happy at work, whether I'm going to change my attitude. But what helped me is I needed to come to work and know what it is that I valued. When I had my values together, that's my values are the unshakable part of me that no one can touch. Mm-hmm. So I consider myself, my number one value, this may sound silly to some of you guys, I'm 41 years old. My number one value is that I'm going to be the man that my mama and daddy raised me to be. Mm-hmm. So when these people try to come at me and try to change me because I smile a lot, or look at him, he's so corny, and what's he so happy about, blah, blah, I stick to my values. I'm saying, listen, I want to be the man that I said I'm going to be. And I'm not going to let someone who I don't like or even respect change me.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I had to latch on to my values and be very clear on what those were. That allowed me to bounce back pretty quickly.
Yeah, I like that concept. I think a lot of people get to that point of like, some people don't take a jump because of the judgments, or they don't want to change something at work because of the judgments they feel. And I think that becomes an interesting one, because it's more so like saying, well, what if this person doesn't like me? Well, what if that person isn't like of caliber to even matter?
Sure. And we want, we're not here to get everyone to like us. Don't get me wrong. No one likes saying, Anthony, I don't like you. Like, no one wants to hear that. I don't want to hear Shola. No one likes it. No one wants to hear that. No. But I also know that if I'm living in a way where I'm kind to people, and some people don't like kind people. Yeah. That sounds crazy, but some people don't. Sure. They look at kindness as weakness, and I'll be giving more hugs and handshakes to the day that I die. You know what they call me at my previous job, my current job? They call me Brother Teresa.
That's great.
Here you come again, hugging on people, Brother Teresa. You know what? I've been in kindness so deeply that I don't really care if you think it's corny, because I know it has an effect on how people get to live. It's the biggest gift that we're able to give another human being on this earth while we're here.
Even if it's the people that it's a pattern interrupt for, the ones that don't see it, or the ones that feel negative, they still feel that. And so it's a pattern interrupt. They have to go sit with that, and it's a seed.
It is. It's a powerful one too.
Yeah, and I think there's more and more people that need the seed, and there's less and less people that are planting seeds, sadly.
That's why I'm a planter, man. I just got my seed in my back and just throwing them everywhere. Yeah. Just planting seeds dropping them, making it rain.
Shola apple seed.
That's right, man. I'm going there, just dropping seed.
Give you your nickname, huh? I love it. We're getting at that end point. I don't want to keep it too long. So I guess there anything specific, like if you were, it's kind of like the close-up questions, I guess. If you had 60 seconds to tell somebody something that would shift their life from this moment to plant, we just talked about a seed, what would you tell them in 60 seconds?
First thing I always do real quick is make sure that you have a gratitude practice. And there's a reason why people say that this is so important. We don't spend a lot of time being kind to ourselves and thinking about what we're doing that we're grateful for. And because of that, it makes everything harder. Drama that's turned molehills into mountains so quickly because the flat tire on the way to work or all type of things become so big. But if you're able to watch this podcast right now, you have a computer or a working cell phone, you have food, you don't have a debilitating illness most likely, and all these different things that you're able to do because you have access to healthcare and to technology. So take a minute to really be clear on what you're thankful for, because it changes your perspective so quickly to realize, wow, I actually have wonderful things to be happy about. And also, too, make a commitment to yourself to be clear on the stuff that you're no longer going to allow from other people. The never again line. Mm-hmm. If you do not have a line or a boundary that stops the toxic people from hurting you, you will continually be hurt.
I like that.
So make sure that you take a line and figure out what it is that you're no longer going to tolerate and stop tolerating starting today.
I like it, man. I like it. All right. So one last random question.
Yeah.
Ready? What flavor of ice cream doesn't exist that you wish existed?
Oh my gosh. Maybe it doesn't. All right. Bacon flavored ice cream.
Wow.
I
guess I would.
I love bacon. I'll eat bacon anything. It's pretty gross, right? But if there was a bacon flavored ice cream, little tiny bacon flecks inside of it, I'm telling you, I would buy it. And if anyone wants to start that business, call me. We'll go ahead and we'll start it. Or I'll just eat your ice cream. I mean, I'll just go there.
That works too. There's got to be something like that. They actually do have maple bacon ice cream. I'm looking at them. Yeah, maple bacon crunch ice cream recipe. Oh, it's great. Because I still do like salted caramel. You know, like you have that kind of like savory and sweet.
Yeah.
That sounds good, man. I want ice cream at like 9 in the morning.
What's your answer to that question? That's a good question.
Oh man, ice cream flavor that they don't have. I like Spanish olives. I don't have like a Spanish olive because I think it would still be. I think that's the big thing. It's like salty and sweet.
Yeah.
But that's what it'd be. I eat garlic olives all the time. I don't think I want garlic ice cream. That'd be kind of a little bit awkward.
But are you out in the LA area? Where are you?
Northern California. I'm actually in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, because man, down in Beverly Hills, they have this place, the Thinking Rose, which has garlic ice cream.
Really?
And it sounds gross. I love garlic. It's the best thing ever. You must go to Stinking Rose. If you're ever in town, Anthony, hit me up, man. Shoot me an email. Hey, I want to go to Stinking Rose. We'll go out there, man. Get some ice cream. That'll blow away.
I like the sound of that. I'll be down there March 28th for a brain scan. I'm in Orange County, though. I'll be up down there doing a brain scan.
Okay. Right on, man.
Yeah, man. Cool. So this is what I do at this point. I do it real quick. So the seat, if anybody's watching, let them hop on if they want to hop on and ask you a question or two. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If they don't, I give it a moment, and then we close the bad boy up. So anybody that wants to hop on, you should see a little button that says call in. If you want to call, feel free to call in. You can ask me or Shola a question. If not, then we close it up. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's funny, the women, they don't like hopping on because sometimes they're self-conscious about their makeup not being on or whatever it is. That's pretty much what happens.
I had to make sure I got my T-shirt ready.
Yeah. You know? Well, it's funny. I got this really bright shirt on called "It's Win the Day." It's just I don't know why I put it on this morning. I was like, I just want to put this on, and I put it on. I realized it's entirely too bright. It's like drowning out in the screen. It's hilarious, but it works. That's awesome. So I guess nobody's on. So that's it, man. I want to ask you, how can people get a hold of you if they want to reach you outside of this? Where should they follow you? Like, where's the best way to reach you?
The easiest way to find me is on my website, thepositivitysolution.com. Again, thepositivitysolution.com. Shoot me an email. I'm at Shola at thepositivitysolution.com. Twitter at positivitysolve. I'm getting my Instagram together. Also the same handle at positivitysolve. And all those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
I like it. Cool. So, it's pretty simple. So for people just joining on, what is it that you'd be able to do for people? Like, I know you do like corporate training. Like what's the specific areas where you're able to provide like insight and help?
Yeah. So my big things are team cohesion, working with work teams that are really struggling with their communication. Positivity Solution goes out to organizations and works specifically with them that are struggling. Leadership training is one of my main things. I really feel like how we lead changes how cultures of organizations are able to shift pretty quickly. So I do a lot of work specifically around getting leaders to understand the importance of communication, not just what they say, but how they say it and how to give a structure and a model to ensure they do it correctly, consistently. So team cohesion, leadership, customer service, my third, and conflict resolution is my fourth. So any of those four buckets, I'm able to go into any organization. And my book is titled Bringing Positive Change to Any Work Environments. I mean that. That's what I do. I bring positive change to any work environment. This guy hit me up. I like it. All
right, man. That's pretty much it. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for hopping on. Because anybody doesn't know, I literally sent him a message out of the blue. It's like, hey, I'm just some guy. I read your blog. I want to put you in a podcast if you're willing to. And he was more than willing to. So I want to thank you for that, because this is actually, it's great information for people, just in business, I think, overall in life also, because I don't think anything is separate. I don't think in my mind, at least.
No, and you're not the same way. I mean, it's not like I'm not Shola for work and Shola for the positivity and the Shola at home. Yeah. I'm Shola
all across the board. It's the same here, man. Some people like it, some don't. It's okay. You can keep on moving. I'll help you out. I'll plant the seed and we'll keep on moving.
Keep planting.
Yes. All right. That's it. I'm gonna start recording.